Okay, so we're going to go. Driving me crazy. We already talked about. So we're going to go ahead and run our first program using our test bench that we constructed. So we go ahead and open a new file. So we go File, New, File. And you'll notice that we don't have any functions, and when we go to Robot, we don't have any way to define where our motors and sensors are hooked up. So we need to go ahead and save our file very first thing. So we go Save As. Okay, and we're going to go to Documents. Okay, Mr. Carmody First Program, and Save. Okay, so now we have our program and we have it saved, so we can go ahead and do our motor and sensor setup. So I go to Robot Menu, Motor and Sensor Setup. Now the way that you're going to do this the first time is that you're going to go back to your instructions for the test bed. Okay, so the test bed instructions that we're going to take a look at right now. Okay, here they are. So we have the test bed here, and this is our wiring diagram for the test bed. So we're going to start out with our motors. The claw, right, and left motor. Okay, so I've decided that we're going to use mote, M-O-T, as our prefix for motor. So mote claw, mote right, and mote left. Okay, then we're going to go to our analog sensors, and we're going to get SEN. Okay, and the first one that we hooked up, let's go take a look. So our analog inputs were line, follow, and potentiometer. Okay, so send line, and then we're going to go send potent. Okay, and the great thing about Robot C is it has what's called IntelliSense. IntelliSense is the Microsoft term for it, but IntelliSense means that it will suggest words as you're programming. So our naming conventions are great, and the really great thing is that we won't have to remember most of them. But it's still good to follow a naming convention so your code is more readable. Okay, finally we're going to do our digital sensor. Okay, so we have our digital sensor here. We have limit switch, bump switch, and green LED. So I'm going to name those appropriately here. So remember, we didn't put anything into digital 1, right? We started in, whoops. We didn't put, but we did put it into digital 1, right? Okay, so we have switch, limit, okay, switch, and actually we're going to use send limit, send bump, and then finally LED green. Okay, and this is the type for LED is digital out. Type for the limit is a touch, and the type for the bump is also a touch. Okay, now can you tell the mistake that I made? I don't know if you remember the video, but in my motors, the mistake that I just made is that we didn't plug in, even though the wiring diagram said to plug it into number 1, we actually started number 2 with the claw, so we need to go back and correct that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and notice what happens. Robot C writes this automatic code. These are the pragma statements up here. And the good thing about this is once you do it once in our first program, you can copy and paste these into all your other programs as long as you're using the same physical setup. Okay, so let's go ahead on with our program. Notice that I still don't have anything in my function library. So I want to make sure that my program, or my platform type is set correctly. So we go to Natural Language Library Vex Cortex here. We click that. And now we're going to go compile it for the first time. And watch what happens after I compile it. So I go Compile Program. Okay, luckily I didn't get any errors here. So I compile it. Now we have the natural language here. So notice I can click this little plus sign on the left in natural language. I can click open up movement, and I can go to start motor. Notice how I click and drag, and then let the so I press the left click, drag over, release. So I click and drag start motor over, and then I'm going to press, drag, and release to drag weight over. So now motor port, this is just the name of our motor, so we can call this mote. Let's do motor right, so we call it mote right. Remember, that's what we called our right-hand motor. Our speed, our maximum speed is 127, so let's just set it at maximum. and our wait time is going to be 3 seconds. Okay, so that's going to be all this program is going to do is just start a motor, and it's going to start the motor, and it's going to wait for 3 seconds, and then the program will end, which will turn off the motor. We could also just add stop motor after, which would be probably the best thing to do here. Notice that when I drag on my commands, Robot C does a lot of different stuff, right? So it puts on the end of line semicolon here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this down to the robot and run it. So I'm going to go robot, compile and download program. Okay, so it says download progress. And we get our great debug program window here. Okay, so now this is another place where Robot C is really fantastic. So we go robot program debug opens up. Now watch what I can do here. Do you see these tabs down at the bottom? This is my debug window. If I go to window, if I go to robot, I can go to debug windows, and I can turn on and off these windows. But once I'm in the debug for a program, now I can look and I can see what my sensors are doing, what my motors are doing, all in these different tabs down here. Okay, so it's a really fantastic thing, because now you can actually if I go ahead and turn my potentiometer, we can watch the numbers change. If I cover up the line sensor, we can watch those numbers change. Okay, so now I'm in debug mode. So to run the program, I click start, and you should be able to hear the motor go, and runs for 3 seconds and stops. Okay, so once I want to go back and start to write more code, I go ahead and just clear this out. Okay, so I close the program debug, and I get back to just the regular Robot C interface. Okay, so that's how you run your first program. Good luck, and get started.